Have you ever wondered why no matter how much inner work you do, something still feels stuck? Why you keep attracting the same painful relationships, the same patterns, the same battles with yourself? What if I told you? It's not because you're broken. It's not because you're weak. It's because a hidden part of you is still running your life. A part of you that was born in childhood. A part that carries wounds, fears, and survival strategies that you never consciously chose, but were forced to adopt. Carl Jung called them the Inner Child Archetypes, and whether you realize it or not right now, one of these archetypes is quietly shaping your choices, your emotions, and your relationships. There are 4 of them. The abandoned child, the one who carries the deep fear of being unloved, unseen, and rejected. The magical child, the one who believes in endless possibilities, but often escapes reality to avoid pain. The orphan child, the one who learned that the world is unsafe, that trust leads to disappointment, and that the only person they can depend on is themselves. And the divine child, the part of you that was born knowing you are special, that you have a purpose, but carries the unbearable pressure of being perfect, of never failing, of always having to prove your worth. These aren't just ideas. These are psychological forces embedded in your subconscious. And the truth is, until you meet them, understand them, and learn how to heal them, they will quietly dictate your life without you even realizing it. So stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you won't just understand these 4 archetypes, you'll discover exactly which one is secretly running your life, and more importantly, how to finally break free from the patterns that were never yours to carry. Before we begin, I want you to do something powerful. Comment right now, "I am healing, I am the cycle breaker." Let it be your declaration. A reminder that the moment you name it, the healing begins. This space is for you. Here, we don't pretend to be perfect. Here, we come home. Home to the version of ourselves that was never broken. Only waiting to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved. Take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see yourself forever. There's something most people don't realize about healing. It's not just about affirmations, journaling, or trying to think positive. It's about understanding something far deeper, that inside each of us lives a younger version of ourselves. A child, not just any child, but a child who learned how to survive in a world that didn't always feel safe. A child who made unconscious decisions about love, about trust, about who they needed to be, just to feel worthy, seen and accepted. Carl Jung spent his entire life studying the unconscious mind, and he discovered something that almost no one talks about, that the inner child isn't just one thing. It's not just hurt or healing. It's a collection of archetypes, patterns, energies, survival roles that shape the way you think, feel, love, and exist. These archetypes are like invisible hands, pulling the strings of your life without you even realizing it. They whisper, "Don't get too close, you'll get hurt. Be perfect or they'll leave. Don't trust anyone and no one's coming to save you." Or, if you dream hard enough, if you escape reality, maybe you won't have to feel the pain. Sound familiar? It should, because most of us are walking through life driven by these unconscious programs, wondering why we feel anxious, unseen, disconnected, or exhausted, without realizing that it's not because we're failing. It's because a younger part of us has been in survival mode for far too long. The abandoned child, the magical child, the orphan child, the divine child. Each one of these has a story, a wound, a survival mechanism, and each one holds the key to understanding why you love the way you love, why you react the way you react, and why you struggle to let go, even when you know it's time. But here's the truth. Once you become aware of which one is running your life, you are no longer its prisoner, because awareness is liberation. And that's exactly what this video is here to give you. A mirror, a map, a way home to yourself. So take a deep breath. Stay until the very end, Because not only will you discover which archetype has been running your life, you'll also learn how to begin healing it and reclaim the version of you that was never broken, only waiting to be seen. The abandoned child, the wound of "I am not enough," if you've ever felt that no matter how much you give, it's never enough, that no matter how close someone gets, there's always a fear they'll leave. If you've ever struggled with anxiety, overthinking, hypervigilance in relationships, then chances are the abandoned child archetype is running your life. This is the part of you that was born from emotional neglect, from broken promises, distant caregivers, or the subtle silent message that your feelings were too much, or worse, right, not enough. The abandoned child isn't just about being physically left behind. It's about emotional abandonment. The moments when you needed to be seen, heard, comforted, and instead were met with silence, criticism, distraction, or absence. It's the moment the child inside you realized, no one is coming to save me. And from that moment, survival began. This child learned to scan every room, every conversation, every facial expression, looking, searching, desperately, for signs that love was safe, that connection wouldn't disappear. But here's the cruel twist. The very same child who longs for deep connection also fears it, because connections means risk of being left again. So the abandoned child grows into an adult who does one of two things. They either become hyper-attached, clinging to relationships, afraid of being alone, sacrificing their needs and their voice just to stay connected, or they become avoidant, emotionally distant, because the pain of depending on anyone feels unbearable. Do you recognize this? The constant questions. Did I do something wrong? Why aren't they texting back? Are they mad at me? Am I too much or not enough? These aren't just passing thoughts. They are the echoes of an inner child, still waiting, still hoping someone will finally prove that love doesn't always mean abandonment. But here's the truth. The person who has the power to prove that now is not out there. It's you. Healing the abandoned child doesn't start with forcing yourself to not care. It doesn't happen by pretending you don't need anyone. It starts when you stop abandoning yourself, when instead of asking, "Why do they keep leaving me?" you start asking, "How often have I left myself?" Every time you ignored your feelings, every time you betrayed your boundaries, every time you said yes when your soul was screaming no. That was the moment the abandonment repeated itself, not from them, from you. And this is the shift that Carl Jung spoke of. When the unconscious becomes conscious, the pattern breaks. So instead of waiting for someone to choose you, you choose yourself. Instead of waiting for someone to come rescue you, you become the one who holds your own heart. It begins small. A hand on your chest when the anxiety rises, a deep breath, whispering, "I'm here, I've got you, I'm not leaving you ever again." This is how the cycle ends, not by changing others, but by finally becoming the safe home you always needed. The magical child, the wound of life isn't safe, but maybe if I'm perfect, I'll survive. There's a part of you that still believes in miracles, that still longs for safety, certainty, protection. A part of you that developed an extraordinary superpower, imagination. The magical child archetype is born in chaos, in homes where love felt unpredictable, where emotions were overwhelming, or where caregivers were inconsistent, unstable, or unsafe. When the world feels too big, too painful, too unpredictable, a child's nervous system does something remarkable. It escapes into imagination. But this isn't the sweet, innocent imagination of fairy tales. No, this is survival. It's the child who believes, if I'm really good, really perfect, really helpful, maybe they won't get angry. If I stay quiet, if I don't cause problems, maybe I'll be safe. If I make everyone happy, maybe they won't leave. This is the child who scans for danger, who becomes hypersensitive to the moods of others, learning to predict every sigh, every tone, every look, because survival depends on it. And the magical thinking doesn't stop there. It creates beliefs like, if I can just fix them, they'll finally love me. If I work harder, achieve more, become more, then I'll finally be enough. If I never need anything, I'll never be disappointed. But here's the tragedy. This kind of magic comes at a price. As the magical child grows, they become the perfectionist, the overachiever, the caretaker, the person who holds everything together while quietly falling apart inside. And the world applauds them. Look how responsible she is. Look how hard-working he is. Look how strong, how resilient. But no one sees the exhaustion, the chronic anxiety, the constant background hum of, I can't let anything fall apart, because if it does, I won't be safe. Do you recognize this in yourself? The inability to rest, the feeling that no matter how much you do, it's never enough, the fear that if you stop, everything will collapse. That's not weakness, it's not brokenness. It's a nervous system that has been running survival programs since childhood. Carl Jung warned, the greatest burden a child can bear is the unlived life of their parents, and the magical child often becomes the one who tries to carry it all, fixing what isn't theirs to fix, soothing others at the expense of their own soul. But here's the truth no one told you. You were never supposed to be their healer. You were never meant to carry their pain. You were a child, and it was never your job to save anyone. The work now is not to become more perfect, not to work harder, not to fix yourself. It's to realize there is nothing wrong with you, there never was. The anxiety, the overthinking, the perfectionism are not who you are. They are survival strategies that once kept you safe, but now they are simply ready to be released. Healing the magical child starts with one radical act, letting go of the belief that you have to earn your worth. It starts by whispering to yourself, I'm allowed to be imperfect. I'm allowed to rest. I am worthy simply because I exist. No more performing, no more pretending, no more carrying what was never yours. This is how the spell breaks. And in that breaking, you don't lose yourself. You finally come home to yourself. The orphan child. The wound of, I have to do it all alone. There's a kind of loneliness. That doesn't come from being physically alone, but from the bone-deep belief that no one will ever truly be there for you. This is the wound of the orphan child, a child who looked around and realized, whether through neglect, emotional absence, abandonment, or constant disappointment, I can't depend on anyone. Maybe the caregivers were physically present, but emotionally distant. Maybe love always came with conditions. Maybe safety was something others had, but never you. And so the orphan child adapted. They became fiercely independent, self-reliant, hypervigilant. They learned, don't ask for help. It leads to disappointment. Don't show weakness, and it only invites hurt. Keep your guard up, because no one's coming. At first, it looks like strength. They become the ones others depend on, the problem solvers, the ones who never need anything, never ask, never burden. But deep down behind the armor is a kind of exhaustion. That sleep can't fix, because living in a constant state of, I have to do it all alone, isn't strength. It's survival. And here's the hidden cost. The orphan child struggles to trust, to receive, to soften, to let love in. Even when safe people show up, something inside whispers, be careful, they might leave. Don't get too comfortable, it won't last. Relying on others is dangerous, and so the cycle continues. Isolation disguised as independence, walls disguised as boundaries, loneliness disguised as self-sufficiency. Carl Jung taught us, what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. The more the orphan child resists needing others, the louder the emptiness becomes. And here's the heartbreaking truth. The wound was never that you were too needy, or too sensitive, or too much. The wound was that you were forced to grow up too soon, to abandon your needs just to survive a world that didn't know how to meet them. But it's not your fault. It never was. The healing now is not in proving how strong you are. It's not in doing more. It's not in holding it all together. It's in learning this slowly, gently, that you were never meant to do this alone. It's in whispering to yourself, I am allowed to be supported. I am allowed to receive. I'm allowed to be held, loved, cared for. It's realizing that the walls that once protected you have now become the prison, and the key was never outside of you. It was always inside. Healing the orphan child is a sacred return, a return to belonging, not by forcing others to show up, but by showing up for yourself. And in that commitment, you begin attracting what you've always deserved. Safe love, true connection, soft places to land. You are not too much. You were simply too alone for too long, but not anymore, not now. Before the masks, before the wounds, before the survival patterns, the divine child already knew one truth. I am enough, simply because I exist. But here's the tragedy. When the pain came, when love was withdrawn, when connection felt unsafe, even the divine child was forced to go underground, buried beneath years of conditioning, of self-abandonment, of believing, I must earn my worth. And yet, it never left. Not for a moment. It's still there, right now waiting for you, to remember. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, the sacred return to the self, not the wounded self, not the false self, but the true self. The divine child is the part of you that whispers when everything falls apart. When did you forget that you are sacred? It's the soft voice inside that knows. You were never meant to perform for love. You were never meant to betray yourself to belong. You were never meant to dim your light, just to be accepted. The divine child doesn't seek validation. It remembers, I am love. I am whole. I am free. And healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. That version of you is not gone, is not broken, is not too late. It's still here, alive, waiting for you to stop searching outside and finally come home. Because the truth is, you are not your wounds, you are not your trauma, you are not the patterns that kept you safe. You are the one who survived it all, and the divine child inside you is the proof. This is the part of you that still knows how to dream, how to play, how to laugh without fear, how to love without shrinking. And maybe right now, as you listen, you can feel it, a soft warmth in your chest, a whisper inside, saying, I'm still here. This is the invitation to remember, to return, to reclaim. The most sacred truth of all, you are already enough. The most important truth you'll ever remember. Take a breath. Let this land, not in your mind, but in your soul. Because if no one ever told you this before, let me be the first. You were never broken, you were never unworthy, you were never too much or not enough. What happened was never your fault. The masks you learned to wear, the walls you built, the wounds you carried, were never signs of weakness. They were signs of how hard you fought, just to survive, in a world that didn't know how to hold the real you. But now, the version of you that learned to survive is not the version of you that's meant to lead anymore, because something deeper, something older, something truer is waking up inside you, the part of you that remembers who you were before the world asked you to forget. The divine child, the true self, the version of you, sir, that was never touched by pain, never broken by disappointment, never destroyed by rejection. It's still here. It's always been here. And maybe, for the first time, you're finally hearing it whisper, I am enough. I am free. I am whole. This is the real healing, not becoming someone new, not fixing what was never broken, but coming home to yourself. And yes, it's a journey. Yes, it takes courage. Yes, it asks you to release the patterns of the people and the stories that were never yours to carry, but on the other side of that is freedom. Freedom to feel, freedom to rest, freedom to take up space, freedom to love without losing yourself ever again. And if this message spoke to something deep inside of you, if some part of you right now is saying, I'm ready, then don't let this be just another video you watch. Let this be the moment. You decide. Drop it in the comments right now. I am healing, or I am the cycle breaker. Let this be your declaration, your soul's reminder, that this time you are choosing yourself. And if you're ready to go even deeper, to truly transform, to finally break free from these patterns, you'll find the link in the description to my ebook, a step-by-step guide to help you heal your inner child, reclaim your power, and step into the life you were always meant to live. And if this kind of healing speaks to your soul, join this community, subscribe, because here we don't just talk about healing, we live it together.